So if you want to look at redoing part of it, come back and see me. Did we finish with Harding? Did I play you Al Smith?
Yeah.
Let's look at the record. If I could do that voice, I'm not kidding. That would be the only voice I would do. I would drive everybody away. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. One more time. Okay, I just love that voice. So, let's get to what's happening. Well, what the big issue was there's a brand new consumer economy going on. And I can't emphasize enough what a change this was. Okay, we already had the development of capitalism, the wage system, this radical shift, 1830s through 1870s. But this new economy, more reliant than ever before on the sale of goods. So, companies are producing goods faster than they ever have before, as we saw in the video. And therefore, they have to sell those goods to make money. Therefore, workers, average workers, need to buy things. Companies or the very wealthy simply do not buy enough to fuel this mass production. I mean, seriously, how many cars can a millionaire then or billionaire today buy? Now, I mean, I know they can buy hundreds, but really, how many cars are they going to buy? Even if a billionaire buys 20 cars, that's still just a drop in the bucket when you're making millions of cars a year. So everybody's got to buy or the economy will crash. This is brand new. And so workers become consumers. And this is an advertisement to convince car owners that, look how easy it is to buy cars on credit. Workers now are more than just workers. They are consumers and the engine of the economy. And how are they going to get the money? Debt. Installment plans and credit were made available to average workers for the first time in history. Oh, sure. There has always been credit. Usually by people charging incredibly high interest rates. But now it's easier credit than ever before, up in the 1920s, to convince people to buy goods. So, for example, once again, this is General Motors, to try to convince you to buy your Chevy on credit, which General Motors would provide and collect the interest. As it turns out, companies made more money loaning money than selling goods. Interest. Compound interest. The wonders of it are amazing. And here is a chart that shows the growth of household debt in the 1920s as percentage of the economy. It grew throughout the entire decade as people borrowed more and more money to buy cars or radios or mixmasters or homes. And there's another chart, and it shows there is a connection. This is the share of income of the top 5% in the United States. In the 1920s, it went up the entire decade, and you notice debt for everybody else went up too. And there's a very logical reason for that. As more money was funneled to the top, that means less money for everybody else. And if there's less money for everybody else, which I mean probably it's going to be like, that means if you're going to buy these products, you have to borrow. Debt goes up and wealth inequality goes up because there's less money for everybody else. So that's what was happening then. And Andrew Mellon would be, in many ways, like the symbol of this 1920s economy. He was the Secretary of the Treasury for all three Republican presidents. Mellon was an incredibly wealthy man. Yes, he went to fund 2 colleges to improve his reputation. Oil, coal, Finance is where he made his money. Well, let me rephrase that. His family made his money. He made his money the old-fashioned way. He inherited it. But he assumed because he inherited it, there must be something special about him. And the way he looked at it was this. The market will sort out where wealth goes. The winners and losers. And the rich are on top because they have knowledge, they work harder, they have the advantage of who their parents are. And those who are poor must be lazy, they must be incompetent, and therefore they did not deserve to be on top. He truly believed in survival of the fittest. And he assumed because he was a multimillionaire at a time where there weren't many multimillionaires, he must have been the fittest of them all. What is his philosophy? Yeah, he's very social Darwinist. He's one that talks a lot about, upbringing. My parents were very smart and intelligent, so of course I am. And therefore I deserve what I got. And here is this idea, well, before I get to the cartoon, there's Mellon right there. He would personify this 1920s. And so the whole goal, funnel money to wealth. The government has immense power and therefore should create the rules to funnel money to the top. To funnel money. And how do you do that? Well, the most important way would be tax cuts. Mellon would either write or basically write two laws then that would go to members of Congress. Remember, Congress has to propose laws, tax cuts in the House. Two massive tax cuts that were explicitly designed for the wealthy. The highest marginal income tax rate went from 73 to 25%. It was purely designed to put as much money and wealth into the hands of the wealthy. And I have to be clear, it's more than just money for tax cuts. That means if marginal income tax rates are lower, the wealthy will be able to accumulate greater fortunes. So there'll be less money going into the economy, they'll accumulate wealth. Now that's the plan. So Andrew Mellon himself would write a tax bill that would be proposed to Congress that would give him an $800,000 tax cut. Now I know what you're thinking, $800,000 is nothing today. I would take it. Today it'd be about $20 million tax cut he gave himself. Yeah. That was the highest marginal income tax rate. The highest tax rate. I will tell you how those work. Because no one pays 73% of your taxes. I have no idea why. So, to give you an example of how this worked, he believed that government policy should help the wealthy. Oh, before we get to anti-bonus bill, here was the tax cut for the Republicans, and basically telling the Democrats how much people love the tax cut, even though it's almost all geared to the very top. And it would be like the Andrew Mellon patch where we're all going to get a piece of watermelon, we're all going to get wealth from the tax cut. So there was an effort to pass a bill called the bonus bill. The bonus bill would be money that would go to veterans in World War I. When veterans left World War I, they got a new suit at $100. New suit, $100. Well, the thought was to give them $2,500 additional dollars when they retired. So they came up with an arbitrary year, 1945. 1945, they'll get $2,500. I know the irony of that is huge. What would end in 1945? Yeah, just the whole irony of these. Mellon opposed this tooth and nail. Now, it did pass. It was a Republican-controlled House and the Senate. Almost all the Democrats and a significant number of Republicans voted for it to pass. But he was opposed. Why? Because the money's not going to the wealthy. Who's getting the money? Working people. And they're lazy. They don't know how to work. They'll just drink it away. They'll waste it. That money should go to people who know how to use it, how to invest it. The smartest and best. People like who? Him. Did you say me? Him. So, we'll get back to the bonus bill. It did pass, but he's opposed. So, I was going to do this on the board. I tried it first period, but my board, I think, has died. I agree. It doesn't erase anymore. It just smears. I need a new board. Now, you might be wondering, how old is this board? Only 25 years. So be nice to your elders, the board. Yeah, it finally died. So I have to do it on this. So trickle-down economics. That was the economic policy. So that is this is the basis of conservative economics. It gets its roots, and let's get this down. It gets its root from Alexander Hamilton and laissez-faire economics. That's where it gets its roots. It goes all the way back to Hamilton. The roots of conservative, elitist foreign policy. Hamilton hated democracy, wanted a king. He kind of fit in though with most of them at that time, most of the founding fathers. And so here is, and it's kind of personified by Calvin Coolidge. We'll step back and let the market decide. And who should decide the market? The wealthy. And there is American business doing well. So you're going to make a table. It's going to start from here and go down. It's not going to be as good as my drawing, but that's life. So maybe, could be, the wealthy. The goal is the wealthy, and it starts top down. And they didn't hide this in the 1920s. Today they might say things like suppliers or job creators or think code words like that, but everybody knows what it means is the rich aren't rich enough. If you give the wealthy more money, they're the ones who know how to make more. You give it to people or working people, and they'll just waste it. So meaning the vast majority of people will waste it. Let's give it to the people who know how to make money, people like Andrew Mellon. So you get money in their hands. How do you do this? Now, leave a section here. It's going to be for government action. Please put that down. Government action. And I will show you exactly what the government will do, but we need room for that. But let's do the economic engine first, and then we'll do government action. Government has immense power. They make the rules. They can do this. They can decide if money will funnel to the top or funnel more equally. They can decide the distribution. This is what government can do. They make the rules. And technically in a democracy, it should be that the people have control. So they will take this money and produce more. The term we're going to use is supply. They will know how to invest. You give it to the average yahoo, aka us, we'll just waste it. But they know to invest it in factories, in finance, build up money, buy capital, spread money around, supply. So everyone get this. So if the rich had more money, they would start building more factories and hiring workers. Do the next one. What's this take? So employment will go up. So everyone gets this. More money, supply, workers. And now workers have money. What will they do with it? Demand. They will start to want to buy goods. And this is the engine of conservative economics, right here. On their hand, and who do they buy the goods from? The wealthy. This is trying to be an arrow here. See how it kind of looks like an arrow, right? So put an arrow right there. Not bad. Give me something, right? That's not bad. And that's the engine. So they produce more, hire more workers, more demand. More demand means more money, means more production, more unemployment. So this is the cycle. So as long as government keeps on funneling money to them, everything will work soundly according to conservative economics. Now, always got to have qualifiers here, because it could also be that they have other ulterior motives to do this, and of course they do. But this is, I'm just pure as the generic conservative economics. So today, this is known as supply side economics. Supply creates demand. You build it and they will come. You build it and you will hire workers and there's production. Supply side. So this goes back to Hamilton, wanting the bus, wanting the tariff. This goes back to laissez-faire economics and government aid for business, but don't mess with competition. And this is, most of your life, the United States has been very supply side. Every president in your lifetime was either fully conservative or mostly conservative economically. Every president, the most, I mean, I'm trying to think, you're born in Bush, right? Bush was president? Yeah, so you have President Bush, very conservative. Obama, economically, fairly conservative. Trump, incredibly conservative. And Biden used to be pretty conservative. He's not near as much as he was. Kind of interesting how usually when you get older, a lot of times you get kind of set in your ways. Maybe he's just got out of Delaware. I don't know. But that's where we're at now. Montana, one of the most conservative states in the United States, by far. Exceedingly conservative economically. So, how does that work? Government action. Let's write down the government action. We're going to put it all right here. And the main goal is cut wages. Get wages low. If you get wages low, that will not only mean more profit and more money in the hands of the producers, but they'll hire more workers because the wages will be so cheap and they can produce. So the whole idea of this is you give the wealthy more money and they'll hire workers. You give the wealthy, or you give employers workers who are desperate and take lower wages, and there'll be more production. So let's go right down government action. The first thing, tax cuts. Regressive tax cuts. So what that means is the higher the income, the lower the taxes. Higher the income, lower the taxes. And so that allows them to create vast fortunes, and they don't have to worry about taxation, so why put it back in the business? But the whole idea is then they'll take it and invest in factories or gold-gilded toilet seats. Remember, there's no rule about what they can do. Next, they're intensely anti-religion. Did I say religion? Regulation. Yeah, progressive tax cuts raise wages. But that's another story. I'll tell you about that when we get to the Great Depression. Anti-regulation. What's anti-regulation? No antitrust. No antitrust laws. Monopolies allow for the top to accumulate wealth, and that's the goal. They accumulate wealth, they'll invest more. And monopolies will drive out the weaker companies, survival of the fittest. Antitrust allows for the accumulation of wealth. Also, especially no regulation in the stock market. And I should have put down, so a lot for speculation, but I should have put down no regulation of banks either. Just no regulation. Allow for the banks to make risky loans, safe loans, sink or swim according to the market. And here is, the big tax bill, the big catch for President Coolidge. And of course, no regulations for like worker safety, quality of goods, like the FDA. The Harding and Coolidge administration would gut the FDA. If they have to check for food, that's competition. And I put down environmental regulations too. There were not a lot of environmental regulations till the 1960s, but of course, conservative economics are completely opposed to any environmental regulations, whether it be water safety or pollution control or CO2 or you name it. Part of the reason why, more conservative would say there's not really a threat to climate change. And you could say there is or isn't. That's not even the point. The point is there's an economic reason why they say that. So next, anti-union. So all of these raise wages, anti-union. Remember the Red Scare? That was anti-union. Why? Unions raise wages. Next, no safety net. The safety net is a kind of a generic term for programs that might help people if their income drops below a certain level, or the biggie, let's say there's an economic depression, factories shut their doors and people are laid off, a safety net will provide a little bit of something for them. Or, for example, if you're still alive but can no longer work, that crazy thing in the modern world called retirement. So, no Social Security. Social Security is what? What is Social Security? What is it, Sam? Anyone know? Yeah. It's an old age pension. Yeah, it's an old age pension that we all pay taxes into. Yeah, it's insurance. It's just like any other insurance. People who are younger and are working will pay for the retirement of older people, just like people who have insurance for cars. We all, if you pay for car insurance, people who are safe drivers, we all pay insurance, but then now have a fund for those who are unsafe. It's the same thing, it's Social Security. Old age pension. If there's no old age pension, what happens to wages? They drop. If you are getting near retirement age and you don't have enough money to survive, what do you have to keep doing? And if you have to keep working, that means two things. First off, that increases the pool of workers. You increase the pool of workers. What does that mean? Wages drop. And if you got to keep working and you're 68, you're not going to be too picky, are you? You're going to take whatever job you can get. So if you're not bargaining for higher wages, wages drop. Yeah, old age pension, the lack of that cuts wages for workers. And so, for example, last week former President Trump said he would cut Social Security. And that is to lower wages. He's conservative. Next, no health care. Now I put that in orange because that didn't really happen. Social Security happened. Healthcare did not really happen. We have a weird thing where there's some public health care, some not. But whatever that system is to make sure you have health insurance, regardless of your situation. If you don't have health insurance, especially, or let me rephrase that, if you only get your health insurance for your job, like not most, but the majority of Americans do, like me, I guess it's probably most of your parents. If you hate your job and you quit, you lose your health insurance. Are you going to quit? Especially if you have kids, have health issues. So you're more likely to keep a job because you can't really leave. And therefore, what does it do? Wages? Drop. Yeah, no health care drops wages. Free college education spending. I put that down in orange too because that never really happened. It got close. Roosevelt wanted it, Truman wanted it, Johnson wanted it. If the big thing about this is, if higher education, whatever it is, that choice of higher education is there, that's increased burden on their on parents and or students. If you got to take a lot of college loans to go to school, you got to pay them back. You can't go bankrupt, and the interest rate's 8%. And, the average public university is about $100,000 total to go to school now. You got to take whatever job you can get, can't you, to pay back your debt? What happens to your wages? You got to take whatever job. You don't have bargaining power. You got to take a job. Of course, it also means you probably might not be able to get the job, your dream job, because you got to make money to pay back your debt. Okay, next, there's no help for the poor. They want no help for the poor, no welfare. So no aid. There's welfare. They want welfare for wealthy, but not for the poor. Why? If you hate your job and don't have a job, and you'll starve if you don't have a job, you're more likely to keep the job you don't like and therefore lower wages. And no unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance is something we all pay into. This is part of the Social Security Act. But this is what it works now. If you're laid off because of whatever reason, you get a small percentage of your income back, about a quarter at most. So it's a little bit of a cushion in case you're laid off. But what does this do? If you know you have unemployment insurance, Gives you more bargaining power. Lowers wages. So all these are lower wages. To put more money in their hand. And the point is this. Desperate workers, lower wages. If you're desperate, if you're worried about tomorrow, you'll take lower wages today. So that's it. So all this is specifically designed to put money into the hands of the very wealthy, and so they'll use it. Are there any issues with this? Of course there could be. Some of you might agree or disagree, but don't even think about that. Let's just see about problems. We're looking at it cold and cool problems. So what are some of the problems? First off, I thought I put that down. This is one of the things I wrote this down. So, problems. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put it on the board, and then I'll have to clean it off with my pen. So, look where the money is. Or look where the supply is. Everyone, we agree have supply down. Why don't I just go back and tell you? So I wrote this first, and it just was an awful thing to erase. Awful and as in annoying. So, here it is. You can write these down. Do you remember the boom bust cycle? The boom bust cycle is here. What is the first thing that happens to the side of a bus? Overproduction. Overproduction. Everyone write down here. If the whole goal is to increase supply, won't this lead to overproduction? Yeah. There's the issue of overproduction. If there's overproduction of goods, what happens to the prices that they can charge for goods if there's overproduction? They drop. And if prices drop, what happened to profits? And if profits drop, are companies going to continue to produce? Why would you produce if you're not making money? So the one big issue is if everything's for gearing towards supply, because everyone got that, so put an arrow, put overproduction. Next. Do they have to spend the money on factories? Couldn't they just make big bonfires of bales of cash and burn it? Could they if they wanted to? Could they have gold-gilded toilet seats and ride to their home in a gold-gilded limousine with 20 chauffeurs and a team of gold-gilded horses? Okay, that'd be something to see. And they go sit on their gold-gilded toilet. It's really hard to start a business. There's a lot of risk, isn't it? If you increase production, and what happens if profits go down? There's a lot of risk. Put an arrow right here. What could they do with it? They could hoard it. Could they just hoard it? They just hoard it. Just keep the money. They could hoard it. Is that possible? All the time. Or what else can they do? Hard to make money in business. It's a lot of work. What is it called where you try to buy something cheap? What's it called? Those buy low, sell high. Everyone write down speculation. You can speculate. The biggest area they speculated was real estate. So write down real estate, especially Florida. As you can see from this map, Florida being in the south, it was a lot warmer than New York. I don't have a map of the United States. Just imagine that I did. It became a big thing for those with a little bit of wealth. To, hey, I'm going to spend my winter in Miami Beach, which, by the way, no one lived in Miami Beach. It was a swamp. Now it's a stinking big city. And why could they move down there? Enjoy the summer. Enjoy your wealth. And it became a big deal. Buy a little piece of Florida real estate because everyone's moving south. If you think everyone's moving to Florida tomorrow, what's going to happen to the value of land today? It'll start going up. People started buying land sight unseen. I'm going to buy Florida land. You're a fool not to buy. Remember that bit from the video that said pick those apples off those trees? Get it now, because if you don't pick that apple, aka land, you'll be left out. Do it now. What did people discover in 1927 about the land they were buying sight unseen?
It's a swamp.
It's a swamp. I'm buying alligators. And what happened to the price? And so what was the next big speculation boom. People try to make up the difference. You said it. Stock market, right? Stock market, that's where real quick. Hey, it's easier. Do you remember buying on margin? How much do you have to put down to buy on margin? 10%. So if Mellon got an $800,000 tax cut, how much stock could he buy? 8 million. Hey, why start a business when you can turn that 800,000 into 8 million and go buy stock? Anybody want to guess what happens after each tax cut? Every time there's a speculative boom. Show me the party happens. So, yeah. And I'm not even. That's probably and you know, and I start reading voice our voices. It's not that this is a real problem. I think everyone else would read. I start reading what I want to see.
Over here, right, I had the change. I went into detail here about how France would not have let wheels change the close percent because their interest would not be kept on the because they were conveying.
Oh, yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah.
They were devastated.
Yeah, I can see that as being outside information. But actually, they could change. France would change. Oh, yeah. They were so desperate to get the United States. But that, I would take that as outside information. Let me look at that. Maybe we'll
Well, it was a Word document, like you said, I got the document blocked.
You only get 2 seconds to think about bonds.
Did I say I got it wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did say it. Oh, you did, because it's document 6.
Yeah.
And document 6, Du Bois is talking about, he wants an international body. He doesn't care. He wants this international body to ensure the guarantee of rights to all people. Du Bois was a liberal. And so that's why Du Bois was so liberal. So that's what he got wrong. But perhaps he got outside information. So that's the problem.
I just saw some blank on the world stars.
I know exactly what you're thinking. I know, but he's thinking like Du Bois believed in civil rights. Yeah. So you only have 2.5 paragraphs written.
It's on the board. I don't know.
When can you come in? Yeah, coming up. Yeah, you need to mention opposition. Okay. I got yeah, you mentioned you got the main element of it, but the yeah.
Today,
I was just gonna say this, dude. You were fun. I mean, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I just know. No, because we gotta do a brainstorm. Everyone take out a sheet of paper, we got a brainstorm list to do.
I'm missing so much. Dude, I'm missing this Friday too.
Did you have your parents call you out?
Yeah.
So senior have your parents call you out day. Wow.
I didn't really do anything. I was working.
Oh, you gotta do it now. Grab the paper, you gotta do it now. All right, I had some really good ones, some very close, a lot of A's and B's. This class did well overall, I thought. I thought there were good ones in here. The only problem is I had to do your score out of 200. So some of you are going to be bitterly disappointed. You did very, I had overall A's and B's. It was good. And most of you had reservations, had irreconcilables, had those issues that you needed. And so, oh my. I copied those. There's a few in our use, but yours was the first one. That was good. I thought these were good. Overall, very good. Like I said, we got people going for bands, right?
Did you study this time?
Yes.
You guys go, bro. I think that's the best part of it.
I've never gone to scout meeting.
Bro, I thought that was so hard too.
And then we got the academic lessons over here.
Bro, that might well not.
I did.
God, okay.
Opening
Oh, English. I didn't get a book for, I didn't get the reading for English because I didn't get the book.
Good in the
Oh,
call.
thank
I was trying to cram that E in there.
Okay, that's cool.
All right, let me talk. But wait. Before we talk about the DBQs, though, everybody, take out a sheet of paper, number 1 to 15. It's a brainstorm list. I'm going to peek at it, yeah. So you do have a sheet of paper too. I'll come out tomorrow.
Back your hat from yesterday.
All right, 1 to 15. All right, everyone, you can half sheet or full sheet out. It's just 15 or just topics. You can use abbreviations or phrases. You can do a brainstorm list. And your brainstorm needs 15 facts. And the prompt, so to speak, is how was the U.S. changed in World War I? Changed by World War I. So, before you start writing, you can write down, events of World War I, the end of World War I, and also like laws in the United States. Remember, a bunch of really big things happened right after the war in the United States. So, changes in the United States due to the war. Go. 15 facts. Go.
Oh, and have fun with it.
Oh, here we go. Just set it over here. Huh? I think that's first. Remember, there's a war, there's a treaty that ended the war, there's allies, there's different sides. Don't forget, there's a whole new type of war that's being fought, remember? Yeah, those are all things. How do you convince people to do it? New rules of war, new weapons, those all you can work. So why don't you have that out? How do we do? We got. And if you start stomping on stuff, just anything, just stuff on the wall from that era. Who was president? Who's the leader of Germany? All those happen. You don't have to put any details down, just get the name down, get the facts down.
You don't need a half sheet for this. Yeah. Let me just give him this real quick. I'll be right there. Just put the letters right next to the numbers, put your name on top.
You want me to go out in the hall?
Yeah, sure. We should be pretty close to 15, everybody. Yeah. Right?
I'm doing my cut.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've seen. We got 15? We good? What? Good. Hey, who was that war hero from Austria in World War I? Would that work for 1 year? There's all kinds of stuff. I know it's just changed in the US, but you're just trying to come up with stuff to trigger memories. All right. Got it? Everyone got 15? I will take a peek at this. All right. So Andre, you'll do this tomorrow, okay? Yeah. So here's real quick. Do we have do you want to put down espionage act? That's a big. How about the Red Scare? How about Red Summer? How about Palmer raids? Those are the raids during the Red Scare. How about the post-war depression? I just put depression. How about inflation? Inflation? That's, I know there's a lot of stuff, but that's a big one. How about Versailles? Treaty of Versailles? Yeah. Why not? How about Wilson? How about submarines, U-boats? Unrestricted the submarine warfare? Zimmerman note? Remember that's a telegram to try to get Mexico in the war? How about bonds? Right. Bonds. The British bonds repaid. And we'll put down poison gas. Bombing from the air. Genocide. Armenians. Give me choices, but they're all good ones you could have. Okay, I'm just going to take a peek at this, put your name on top, turn them in, and let's talk a little bit about the DBQ. I put a lot of point of view. Think in terms of what the author was thinking and why. Don't worry, I'm just going to give you a really basic little credit for it. Thank you very much. Depression. Absolutely. No sweat, no sweat. Hey, we're going to do more of these. So expect next or the week after spring break on like Thursday or Friday, I'm going to say, hey, we're going to do a brainstorm list on the events that led up to the Revolutionary War. Start reviewing. We're going to start reviewing. We're live. You're thinking, what's this Revolutionary War? It will all come back very quickly. Oh, look at my anchor
I'm talking with my knowledge.
Remember the Stamp Act?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got mercantile. If you know mercantilism, Stamp Act, and the Tea Act, you could probably write an essay alone on that, seriously. Or pretty close. All right, everybody, let's talk real quick about the DBQs. Like I said, almost all A's and B's. I'm really pleased in this class. You guys did well. And here's the big thing why to take points off. And most people got it in here. But it's, if you didn't have anything about explaining the reservations, irreconcilables, the vote, and that's, actually, the essay was kind of set up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of set up to answer about reservation is irreconcilables. And something about the vote. Remember there are 3 votes. I mean, you could get by without having that, but it really helped. It showed Wilson unwilling to compromise. Stubbornness was not willing to have reservations, even after his first effort failed, and the one with reservations almost passed. It could have passed with a few changes. And then also liberal versus conservative. If you're going to talk about why these people had a different point of view, that was the big. Let's look at the documents really quick. Everyone look at the documents. Not that these were good. I like some good thesis statements. In fact, my thesis statement, if I was doing this, it would have been probably, despite the stubbornness, despite the power of the opposition, the Treaty of Versailles did not pass the Senate because of Wilson's inability to compromise, as seen as because he did not understand the divisions in the Senate. That's where I can talk about the reservation is irreconcilables, and his unwillingness to change Article 10. That would have been how I wrote it. But you could also put down it was both the opposition and the president, as seen in basically the same way. People kind of went off on a tangent and started talking about like society, we started talking about the war. I sympathize with the question asked about the Senate. You see the yeah, the strength of the opposition. And you had to mention opposition, you had to mention Wilson, had to mention the Senate in the thesis. And that's something I kind of think they're sticklers on the APUSH. If you don't mention that. And so I think I should be too, and it doesn't hurt. But you have to mention, even if you're not going to talk much about the opposition, say, despite the opposition, it was Wilson, or vice versa, you have to mention it in the thesis. All right, so let's look at the documents really quick. Document 1, you ever look at the documents? Document 1, so look at the documents. Document 1, William Bora, he's irreconcilable. The whole thing is without a doubt irreconcilable. Is he irreconcilable? Would that make him more conservative or more liberal foreign policy? Conservative. Number 2. Number 2 is kind of a hard one. It's a hard one. The New Republic, when they wrote that in 1919, they're mad at the treaty. They're mad that it punished Germany. They're mad that it didn't seem to solve the problems. They think the world should come together and solve problems. And what did we get this treaty? They didn't like the treaty. But they're liberal. They're liberal. They want something done. I understand why you put conservative or irreconcilable, but they were. That's what I said. That was kind of a hard one. Document 3, that just talked about Article 10. They used 10 and 11, but 10 is one they kind of a shorthand for that collective security. And that was that liberal idea we could come together to deter war. 4, irreconcilable most likely. A lot of people put down, and they were mad at foreign entanglements. And McCutcheon was opposed to foreign entanglements. Yeah, okay. And it says foreign entanglements. You have to add why. Conservative anger at foreign entanglements, or irreconcilable anger. That's what you need to add yourself, your own little bit of outside information. I know you can say conservative fear of foreign entanglements, but you need more than just writing down or summarizing these documents. It's not that big of a deal. I think once I say it, it's like, oh, I see. I just need to see it one more time. 5, reservation. And that's pure reservations. These are reservations. So he's kind of liberal, but he's saying we got to change Article 10. Just got to change it. Du Bois, he was a liberal. He was furious that the treaty was not ratified. And he was a leader of the NAACP and civil rights. He wanted a situation where new countries, colonized countries, people who are not of European descent, will have an equal voice in international affairs. So he's mad that the U.S. is not. 7, Wilson and willingness to stop the compromise. Pretty clear on that. 8, Lodge was the leader of the reservations. He was the leader of them. So you add that additional piece of information about reservationists. And also, a lot of people did put this down. He wasn't invited to the treaty. Remember, Wilson did not invite him to Paris. That's huge. And boy, I was really happy to see people put down Wilson had that stroke. And so any compromise effort ended because of this. That's great outside information. So the treaty's trying to direct you towards that. Reservation is irreconcilable. And I thought you guys did well. And so most of the A's and B's. So I took a point off here and there because I'm trying to show how strict they would be, like context. You need a little more information. You can't just say, and this treaty punished Germany. Give a couple of examples in your context, in the background material. Oh, it took away their colonies, it limited their army. The big one is those reparations. And like at the end, the context needs something like, it did not, it's not enough to simply say it didn't help stop World War II. Put down anger over the treaty helped lead to the rise of Nazism and Hitler. And the League could do nothing to stop Japan and Manchuria and China, Italy and Ethiopia. You know, a couple examples like that. You just have to get a couple examples. And complex understanding, you just need all 4 halves. I really put down why, just a little more fun. But I thought you guys did well. Let me show you a couple examples. Good job. And really, a lot of A's and B's. We're going to do a kind of a practice thing over the break. I got to give you a little homework. I know. Like I said, I'll make it up to you after the test for homework over spring break. Right? Fitness. No, we do our test 2 weeks after the final. And so if everything works right, you will not have to show up on finals. That would be a day off. I mean, I think you've earned it, so I don't have a problem with that. You will have earned it. I don't have a problem. So, here's a good outline, and it shows documents to facts. You really got to show documents to what you know. So just think about that, related to what you know, outside information. And then I chose this one. The only thing is, it'd be better if you didn't put in document 1, just simply say Bora, William Bora. That's the only thing. Other than that, it's fine. And then, but you have it cited at the end, so that's good. And you got to have that cite. But this is what I like. Suggest an irreconcilable view on this issue. That's what we're looking for half. Bring that outside little bit of information, say that they're irreconcilable or conservative, and oppose a point entanglement, something like that. Same thing here, document 8, Lodge was head of the reservations. And one thing, you can have one 5-word quote. You don't want quotes. They're big stickers on quotes. They want it in your words. But you have a 5-word, maybe 2, but that's a limit. No more than that because it has to be in your words. But that was good. This is a good example because it's good half. And it explains the treaty being passed here, closes it up. Nice. Okay, good essays in this class. Should we do another one right now? You don't seem as happy as I thought you would be. We will do one a week and a half after spring break. What will it be on? The decision to drop the atomic bomb. It's a good essay. You have good documents. For and against. What is the problem with that one is? You know the topic. You will get the documents when you walk in. All right. If there's something you don't understand, come see me real quick afterwards. Oh, and we got below a B, and there's something we can make a quick change. I'll give you an opportunity to just come talk to me real quick. But I thought these were good. And I will, yeah, if there's something you need to ask me real quick after class. You got to read through my scrawl. EX is explained, GD is good. I don't know, overall pretty good. Overall good. All right, let's go ahead then and take your notes out.
There are like a lot of study guides for the actual tests.
Study guides, what do you mean?
Like the APUSH test.
You mean what I'm going to give you? Yeah. I'm going to give you a review packet that you got to do.
No.
Yeah, got to do it. It's, I made some changes from last year. But, yeah, you have a review packet. And I reward you immensely for it. No. You do not do the whole thing, but you have to do big parts of it. But that's why I do in review sessions. I'll go over it. Really, one of the things I've noticed on the essays, and you notice that on anything, if you have kind of feel confident about the background material and can get some things down, it helps everything else out. So when you get multiple choice questions, the way they do it, they give you a little stimulus, a quote or something, a comic. They give you something, a political cartoon, to stimulate your memory. And so you have to have like stuff in your head to, oh yeah, I remember that, then go back through the questions. I'm going to start giving you more to questions like they do in the exam, because I know all of you love standardized tests. You know they word questions very weirdly on standardized tests. You just have to get used to it. Hey, you guys are doing the ACT like right after spring break, aren't you? I can see by your bright smiling faces. Isn't it going to be all online this year? Oh, it was last year too, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. I know there was a lot of issues. I hate that.
Only like half of them. Like if you get online and take it on the day that you had it off of.
God about all that. Yeah. Mr. Peters and I basically just had talk.
We gotta study this. It's so useful. I'm going to ever do
But that's a call.
Okay. Can I trust you?
Yeah.
Would you trust you? No. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead. Did we get to? Did I play you? Al Smith. You want to hear Al Smith one more time? You want to hear Al Smith? I love this voice.
Yeah, that's radio. Why?
One more time. It really sounds like a cartoon. Yeah. Sounds like it sounds like a game. That's what people thought. Okay. So, radio audience. If I could do that voice and not destroy my throat, that would be the only voice I would do. And yes, I would drive everyone away from me, but it would be worth it. So, there's the election. Did I show you this yesterday? So, the thing that all three Republican presidents, and part of the reason they're Republicans and kind of swept in, was because all three had to deal with a new economy. And so they rode the wave of this change and the first seemingly endless prosperity, because it was a brand new consumer economy. More stuff was available for purchase than ever before. Did we get this? We didn't get this, did we? So, mass production. They could produce more goods than ever before. More cars, more radios, more clothing, more everything. And that means that companies had to sell them. And if you produce more, what happens to the price? Yeah, prices begin to drop a little bit. And they become more efficient, they become bigger. What do you call it when the bigger you are, your costs drop? Economies of scale. They produce more. That's the whole big thing about the assembly line. So, workers now have to become consumers. Most workers could not afford most of the goods that were sold 30 years ago. Just a few of the basic necessities. Now, more and more than ever before, it's not so much could afford it, they kind of had to. Because if the workers aren't buying stuff, factories don't sell, they shut their doors. And so everything shifted. That's part of the reason why we have a society now that there's always buying new stuff and we throw so much stuff away. That's on purpose. I'm not saying it's the most efficient or best for the long-term health of the country or the planet, but buy, because we have to. And how do you afford it? That means workers who don't have a lot of money have to go into debt. And that is the big thing about installment plans. So here it is for General Motors. And it's talking about the number of cars sold in just 14 years, went from 19,000 to 587,000 cars. And they loaned 810. It's hard to even start getting numbers that big. $1 million they loaned out. Companies learn real fast. They can make a lot of money giving installment plans because more people buy their stuff and they get the interest. And so installments, finance became big business. And something else that goes along with this. Look what happened to household debt. This is as percentage of the economy. That's the red line. And look what it did for the entire decade. It went up. In fact, this percentage of the economy went up almost 250%. And coinciding, this is the percent income that went to just the 5%, eventually close to 40% of the income. And the point is this: if the top are getting more and more money, how much money is left over for everybody else? So what do they have to do to buy stuff if less money is going to them? Borrow. What happens if you can't borrow anymore? And so the point is, everything's going to be built on debt. What's our society built on today? It's all debt. Everything's debt. Debt piled upon debt, piled upon debt. And that's not necessarily bad, unless everybody has to pay back their debt at the same time. Then it becomes bad. So, Andrew Mellon would personify the government and therefore the Republican administration's plan for all of these. The Treasury Secretary, especially back then, had huge influence on the economy. He was Treasury Secretary for all three. For all three. And his idea, let the market sort it out.